Hey, what's going on, guys? What's happening? YouTube, you guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Got my morning coffee here, not from Dunkin' Donuts. Gave up getting coffee out for Lent, and it's also coming in handy, saving some money with inflation right now. So making my own coffee at home would encourage everybody to do the same. I think I might just keep doing this going forward. But I got my homemade morning coffee here, and we're going to be talking about this Home Depot story. You guys may have heard about this story yesterday. This was blowing up on Twitter. There are calls to boycott Home Depot. I saw even Meet Kevin made a video discussing this issue. I'll link to his video down below if you want to check that out. But basically, this image surfaced online yesterday. This flyer or packet or pamphlet, whatever you want to call it, has been circulating in Home Depot break rooms. Apparently this comes out of Canada specifically, not sure if these were in the US as well. Home Depot has come out and admitted that this is an official document. This is something they have put out. They said they don't have any training program in place, but they are putting this in the break rooms. And it basically tells you to check your privilege. You know, if you're confident that the police are there to protect you, you have white privilege. If you don't have to worry about how to get into a store, you have able-bodied privilege. If you grew up where college was an expectation and not a dream, you have class privilege. If you don't have to explain that your spouse is same-sex, you have heterosexual privilege. If you can expect time off from work to celebrate your religious holidays, you have Christian privilege. And if you can use a public bathroom without stairs or fear of anxiety, you have cisgender privilege. Now, here's the ironic thing about this, right? So I'm sure this policy and this flyer was probably put together by some executive at Home Depot or the director of HR. Basically, it was put together by a very privileged person with a corner office who's likely making upwards of $500,000 a year, and they are lecturing the Home Depot retail worker, the Home Depot garden section worker, who's making $10 or $12 an hour. I was curious what Home Depot employees made, so I actually did a Google search just for jobs at Home Depot, and there's a bunch of job ads out there where they're hiring for garden center workers, $10, $11, $12 an hour. So it's very ironic that these incredibly privileged people making upwards of $500,000 a year with a corner office, maybe working remote, these very privileged people are lecturing the guy making $10 an hour, working nights, weekends, and holidays about how privileged he or she is. Privilege these days is really all about money. If you have money, you have privilege. Try telling someone growing up in Appalachia or growing up in other impoverished areas of this country who's white, try telling them that they're privileged. They are probably getting a poor education. They probably don't have a lot of social support, especially in rural areas, but they're privileged simply because they're white. Everything kind of comes down to a privilege. Some people are born more attractive than other people. It's been proven in study after study after study that people who are physically attractive, they get more attention from teachers and schools. They're treated better by people overall. They tend to get jobs over less attractive people. So being attractive is a privilege. Some people are born really good at math. That's a privilege. Some people are very charismatic or have very good communication skills. That's a privilege. We're all different. We all have things that benefit us in life. We all have things that are disadvantages in life. But this idea that we're going to say these people are automatically privileged, if you come from a poor white family, you're not privileged. If you come from a rich black family, you are privileged. It's not about white or black. It's not about able-bodied or disabled. It's not about gay or straight. Really, privilege comes down to money. And if you have money, the world is at your fingertips. And if you don't have money, it isn't. And I think it's the rich and powerful people who kind of try to divide and create a bunch of infighting between the rest of us so that we don't wind up coming after them for their privilege. I don't care if I'm a white, cisgendered, libertarian male, and you are a far left, black, albino, hemophiliac who's, gay and transgendered. I can guarantee you we have a lot more in common than we have different, and we have a lot more in common with each other than we have in common with Jeff Bezos or Joe Biden or anybody else. Meet Kevin kind of talked about, and I agree with this, what good is really going to come from this, right? Like, you're going to make, people who are black or gay or not able-bodied, you're going to make them feel bad, or you're going to make them feel like victims. You're making people who've done nothing wrong feel bad because they happen to be white or able-bodied or straight. I don't really see anybody changing their ways because of this flyer. Maybe instead of spending, I can almost guarantee you that they probably hired some outside consultant, some super woke person or some former BLM activist. I can almost guarantee you that they paid an outside consultant probably $3 to $5 million to consult with them to come up with and build this flyer, when that money could have gone to paying their employees better, coming up with some type of scholarship program with people for people from disadvantaged backgrounds. There's so many better uses that this money could have gone to, and that this time and effort could have gone to, than to putting up this silly flyer in the break rooms at Home Depot. So I wanted to keep this video kind of short and sweet. So I'll try not to ramble on too much longer. I don't know if you guys experience this or not. Seeing everything that's going on in the world today, I don't know if you ever feel like, am I the only sane person left? Like, has the world gone mad? Is everybody crazy? And a term that I see coming up a lot lately is the term gaslighting. And what's really odd is if you try to Google and find out the definition of gaslighting, I can almost guarantee most of you guys have probably heard gaslighting. There's a lot of media articles coming out about gaslighting. Are you being gaslit? Is this person being gaslit? You hear the term on the news a lot. I sign up to a lot of services where reporters reach out for comments. A lot of people right now are looking to write articles about gaslighting. But if you actually try to find out the definition of it, everything kind of talks about relationships and manipulation tactics. To me, media gaslighting is things like when the media is telling people, make sure to get the Mexican beer cough thing in your arm for your 5 to 11-year-old. It's so important. And then they tell you, oh, yeah, by the way, it's only 10 to 12% effective and it only lasts for about 2 months. Hey, but make sure you get that thing in the arm of your 5 to 11-year-old. It's like, you kind of, gaslighting makes people feel like they're going crazy, or like kind of trying to change people's reality. That's kind of a weird example. Maybe you guys can come up with some better examples. But when you see things like this, it's like, has everybody gone crazy? And I can almost guarantee you, when you're at the coffee shop and you hear people talking, when you're at work, when you're in line at a store, when it comes to things like biological males participating in female sports, and other kind of controversial, quote unquote, woke issues, most everyday people find this stuff to be crazy. But because the mainstream media, as well as like big tech, Facebook, Twitter, kind of push certain ideologies and certain narratives and censor or shut down or ban opposing ideas, if you just look at the world through the scope of what you see on social media or in the media, you feel like you're living in clown world. You're like, do people really think this way? And in reality, most people don't. One of the girls who got beat out for her spot on the swim team by Leah Thompson, I know I'm getting kind of way off track here, but I kind of want to explain like this Home Depot thing. She had posted on Twitter something to the effect of, it's not fair that a biological male took my spot on the swim team. It's kind of crazy that somebody goes from being ranked 400 and something in men's swimming, they switch leagues, and now all of a sudden they're number one. I mean, it's pretty clear that there's some type of disadvantage going on. I don't know if you guys watch Derek of moreplatesmoredates.com. It's a YouTube channel. He's really kind of into like fitness and, working out and that type of thing. Really knowledgeable guy on like human physiology and things like that. Probably within 4 or 5 days ago, he did a really interesting video kind of going through that. And he kind of talks about how, even if you suppress your testosterone and you fall under this artificial level that they've created to be able to participate in women's sports, if you spent 30 years of your life as a man, or 20 years of your life as a man, your body processes oxygen differently. You don't menstruate, you don't have a period, which negatively affects red blood cell counts. Women can't recover as quickly after exercise. Men have longer arm spans or wingspans. There's so many advantages that you get from growing up as a man, having testosterone pulsing through your body, in terms of your body structure, your muscle structure, how your body processes oxygen, how quickly you recover after training, that it's just not a level playing field, even if you kind of artificially castrate yourself or suppress your testosterone levels. And he had a really good kind of scientific, very well thought out video kind of going into this. It's kind of interesting. I'll drop that one down below. I'm getting a little bit off topic here. But as kind of a side note, or I guess just to kind of wrap up this point, when social media has so much power that it kind of shapes our reality, shapes elections, shapes everything else, and then these same companies, are able to kind of suppress certain information and push other information, we're kind of entering into kind of a very dangerous territory where I think most people with common sense would say this Home Depot flyer is kind of silly, kind of unfair. Nothing good is really going to come to it. But on social media, generally speaking, you're going to hear that this is a great thing and what a positive thing Home Depot is doing. Although, ironically, we did see a lot of backlash about this yesterday on Twitter and other social media platforms. And I was kind of surprised to see Meet Kevin, even as a very mainstream, very large YouTuber, and also a fairly, I know he was going to run for the governor of California as a Democrat, a fairly progressive guy, kind of come out on the other side of this and say that this is wrong and this makes no sense. You know, let's briefly, I was going to wrap up the video, but let's briefly hop over to Twitter and see what Twitter has to say about this. So let's see here. We're over at Twitter. We've seen the trending Home Depot privilege guide. Why did Home Depot just release a privilege guide that attacks whites, heterosexuals, and Christians? If this Home Depot guide upsets you, then you're the reason why it's needed. As a black woman, there are 4 privilege boxes I can check on this forum, which I have no problem acknowledging. Those averse to this truth know and enjoy their privilege, but don't like it called out. So, serious woke black, who, no surprise, has a face mask on in her Twitter bio. She doesn't say which one she's checked, but I'm going to guess that she's Christian. I'm going to guess that she is transgendered, able-bodied, and then I would guess her 4th box is either going to be heterosexual or class. And yeah, you know, I guess ultimately, some of us do have what I would call advantages. If you want to call them privileges, you can call them privileges. I guess we all have some privileges. Black people have certain advantages. White people have certain advantages. Asian people have certain advantages. You know, we're all different. We all have things going for us, and we all have things going against us. Like I discussed, you know, people who are attractive have certain benefits. People who are born with a great mechanical aptitude, that's a benefit. People who are born with a great aptitude for math or science or writing or music or whatever else, we all have different skills. We all have different aptitudes. I guess you could call these things privilege. That's just life. We're all different. I don't know that calling them out and using them as a divisive thing is necessarily a good thing. Let's see how people responded to this. And I guess ultimately, is this just a big waste of time? Could Home Depot be doing better things with their time and money to improve people's lives rather than just kind of strike division? The only thing I have to promote is please register to vote and check voting status. Okay, I'm not sure what else she's going on about here. The number of people in comments railing against the able-bodied privilege explains a lot about the pandemic for me. Just walking to the grocery store to the sidewalk ends before entering the lot, forcing wheelchairs into steep streetcar entrances with blind spots. People ask me why I live with my mother, but it's mostly because she can't do things like pick up dropped items off the floor, put her socks on, or go grocery shopping with assistance. I mean, what does this mean? Like, it sucks that your mom is handicapped, but the fact that she can't pick something up on the floor at her house, I mean, how am I to blame for that? How, I guess I don't really get that. This is a great page for pointing out what privilege actually is. Privilege isn't just about how you grew up or what stuff you have. You can have hardships and still be privileged in some areas. I think that's probably true. As a neurodivergent black woman, not sure what that means, even I can cross off at least 4 things on this list, and no doubt she's got a face mask on in her profile. I have lost the able-bodied privilege as a woman in an electric-powered wheelchair. There are tons of doors I can't open. There are bathrooms I can't navigate. There are cluttered aisles I can't access. There are still stairs in some locations. There isn't always a parking spot. As a Christian white male married to a woman with both of us able-bodied, I count 5. I'm not triggered reading this. I'm just more aware of those who aren't in my situation. Nothing wrong with empathy. None of those boxes apply to me, but I have no problem acknowledging the privileges I have. Fellow white, cis, hetero, able-bodied folks, etc. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. Privilege is like water to a fish. You only notice once it's absent. You know, I think one thing that can come of this, I think we should all be empathetic to each other. I think we should all try to help each other out. If you see somebody who isn't able-bodied going into a store that doesn't have electric doors, hold the door open for them. Volunteer. Donate money to causes. Try to help people. But the idea that people should feel bad because they have things better than other people in certain areas of their life really, in my opinion, does no good and is kind of silly. I hit 4 easily and kind of half checked the box on able-bodied. I'm old and fat, but I can get through the door. it may take me a while to get through the door. And you know what? That's kind of offensive to people who are truly not able-bodied. If your disadvantage is that you've let yourself become fat, that's due to your own doing. That really has nothing to do with you being dealt the wrong cards. Like, you could very easily change that compared to somebody who was born without the ability to walk or who had an injury and is now paralyzed. They will never be able to get through the door. You could get off your ass, stop eating garbage, work out, and you would once again be able-bodied. The only thing that strikes me about this is odd is seeing it come from Home Depot. I think they're generally pretty right-wing. Good for them, though. I think so. That's another thing. I'm not going to get off on another big tangent, but companies now have these things called ESG scores, and it's basically how woke you are, how progressive you are. Do you fall on the right side of various causes and social issues? And if you don't score high enough on this, a lot of mainstream investments, hedge funds, government pensions, etc., will not invest in your company. So that's in large part why a lot of these companies do this woke stuff. It's not because they actually care about these issues. It's not because they care about black people or gay people or transgendered people or anybody else. It's because they want to have a high ESG score so that they get more investments. Maybe we'll check out a couple more tweets. And this is kind of, I know this video has been kind of all over the place when I was kind of talking about, being gaslit or feeling like the world is crazy. If you were to talk to your neighbor, the guy behind you in line at the grocery store, your coworker, most people probably think that this flyer is kind of silly, but you come on Twitter and this is like the next coming of God. This is the best thing ever. I hope this training flyer by Home Depot and handed out to employees is fake. Please tell me it's fake. No, it's real. Home Depot has acknowledged that. Market Watch, a Home Depot rep said the controversial privilege training guide came from the company's Canadian division and seems to have very limited views. And you could tell that it did come out of Canada. I think when they referred to people of color, it was COLOUR as opposed to how we spell it in the States, which is COLOR. But Home Depot has acknowledged this is real. They're kind of trying to downplay it, being like, oh, it's just Canada, and almost nobody saw it in the break room. But nonetheless, they did put it out. Good morning and happy hump day. Some white people are on social outrage because of Home Depot Unpacking Privilege Guide. White person asking, why did Home Depot just release a privilege guide attacking white heterosexuals and Christian people? And then there's actually a second part to this flyer as well. Let's see, what does this say? Talking about my privilege makes me feel very uncomfortable. I get that. Can I ask why it is unsettling? Well, it's not like I can give away my privilege. Do you share the benefits of your privilege? I never thought about it. Why don't we take some time to see what talents we can share? Why it's uncomfortable to talk about white privilege. The word white creates discomfort, especially when individuals are not used to being defined or prescribed by their race. When people hear the word privilege, they feel like it suggests that they have never struggled. White privilege does not mean your life has not been hard. It simply means that the color of your skin is not one of the reasons that makes it harder. Let's see. When you feel uncomfortable asking questions about white privilege, here are some questions to ask yourself. Why does this unsettle me? How does this lens change my understanding of racial dynamics? How can my unease help reveal assumptions I've been making? Is it possible that I am white? There are some racial dynamics that I can't see. I am willing to consider that possibility. If I'm not willing to do so, why not and when? And here's where this kind of gets nuanced. When my grandpa first came over to America from Italy, Italian people were not considered white. So where do I fall? I can't say it on YouTube, but Tony Soprano has a famous line where he says, my people were the blanks of this country before your people ever got here, when talking to a person of another race. And that's very true, right? Like, there used to be signs in windows of stores, Italians need not apply, Irish need not apply. And so, everybody's experienced hardships. Obviously, kind of the world has changed, this country has changed. And I think even though we like to hate on ourselves and attack ourselves, I think probably, I hate to, this country's a mess. I hate to say it's changed for the better, but at least in terms of respecting one another and equality, I think things have gotten better over the years. I'm not going to go through any more of this flyer, but I thought this was an interesting topic to to cover. I think we should all be empathetic. I think we should all treat each other better. I think we should try to help other people where we can. But I just don't really see any good coming from this. You are privileged flyer, and I think there's better things Home Depot's executives and HR department could do to improve the lives of their poorly paid employees than put out things making them feel bad for being able-bodied or white or straight or whatever else. As always, I would love to hear your guys' take on this story, your guys' take on this issue. Drop a comment in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next video, guys. Later.